I will call the July 21st, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. Commissioner Koger, would you lead us in a prayer and the pledge?
I will. Bow your heads, please. Lord, we praise and thank you for all your blessings. Please continue to guide the members of this body in your willful direction. Lord, remind us that as you we truly serve and serving the citizens of this community. We praise you for your entrusting us to lead our county. Pray for our firemen, policemen, military, and first responders to always be safe. All this we pray through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Koger. And once again, I want to welcome everyone to our July 21st, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. Commissioners, before we start the meeting, I need a motion to amend the agenda and add item D, which is an order of allowance to the Board of Assessments. That failed to get on the agenda before we sent it out. So do I hear a motion to amend? I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Jenny?
Item A, 1, consideration for approval, A, minutes of the July 12th, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting.
Motion approved.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession. Any questions of the treasurer at this time? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
C, treasurer's report for June 2022 and final settlement.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Hendricks.
Normally, the financial report is for a presentation. The 12th and final one, it must be approved. In addition to the normal financial statement that you normally have, you will also have the one with the blue face on it, which is the official treasurer settlement. The cash balance at June 30th was $71,549,568. Nothing happened outside what I apprised the court of in previous meetings. As far as the settlement goes, I'll just read excerpts from the letter that prefaces that. It's to the people of Daviess County, Honorable Judge Al Mattingly, and to the commissioners. In accordance with KRS 424-220, I have compiled the accompanying statement of assets, liabilities, and fund balances arising from cash transactions as of June 30th and related statement of cash receipts, disbursements, and changes in cash balances for the year. I've also compiled supplementary schedules reflecting the actual revenues and expenditures itemized by account in comparison to the budget. The next paragraph just details the fact that the financials are prepared on a comprehensive basis of accounting that's closely related to the regulatory basis of accounting, but it is not in the form of generally accepted accounting principles and is not intended to be. It is not necessary to comply with the state of Kentucky's rules, which we do. Anyway, the bottom line for all that is that I concur with the balances and believe them to be true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. I have submitted the fourth quarter report to DLG and have heard nothing on the preliminary review for that. With that, if once the court approves, we are already in contact with the auditor. The audit will begin in the, I believe, second week of September. So with that, I would request your approval.
Jim, so this is subject to that final audit that we get every year.
Correct.
And lastly, details of all these transactions are available at your office Monday through Friday during normal working hours.
They are.
Anyone wants to see it. Questions or comments, Commissioners? Question or comment by the public? No, Scott, you can't ask a question. There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
D, order of allowance to the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. Jim, are you going to do this?
Sure. This is the order of allowance when the Board of Assessment meet every year. They're entitled to be compensated at the rate of $100 each per day, and the fiscal court will pay half, and the state of Kentucky will pay half. So this is a similar one that we do every year. I've reviewed it. It's in order. I recommend approval.
Total is $400, state share is $200, fiscal court will pay $200. The reason we amended the agenda and got it on here was that I think we have to get this in by the 25th of July so that they can do it. Normally, we would have just pushed it to the next meeting. Any questions or comments? Questions or comment by the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
E, Administrative Services Contract with GRAD for FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grants Program, EOC Generator Project.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, this is a generator that is going into the Emergency Operations Center. The total cost is $11,450. The feds are going to pay $8,587.50. The non-federal share, meaning us, I assume, is $2,862.50. And the contract with GRAD, they will get $572.50 for managing this. Is that correct, Jordan? All right, good report, Jordan. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments by the public? This actually is going EOC over at the Schertzinger building, correct? 3rd and Daviess, or 3rd and Allen? 3rd and Allen. It was amazing. We noticed that they didn't have a backup. So if the fire fails, everything goes. So it was a good deal. If there are no other questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
F, Lease and MOA with OCTC for property located at Foors Lane and Highway 231.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Jordan, were you going to talk about the lease? You don't have to. I can. That's good. Dr. Scott Williams is here to make sure that we approve this lease. We have approximately a 28-acre tract at the corner of Foors and 231. Is this the 3rd year or 4th year? Fourth year. Several years ago, Dr. Williams came to fiscal court and said that they had a ag tech, some agricultural programs that they were teaching. They would like to lease a couple of acres on the backside near the ditch and the old road bed. We said absolutely fine, but in return, we expect you to maintain the entire 28 acres. So they mow it, keep the trash off of it. It's a good deal for both sides. Is that a fair assessment? Yes. Okay. This is just renewing that lease for 1 year, and OCTC may extend it for 4 additional 1-year terms. Any questions or comments? Yes.
If he could refresh my memory what he does with that property.
Dr. Williams, come up and tell us
Just so the-
what those programs are all about. Talk loud.
I can probably talk loud
Yeah.
enough. Y'all know me that well. So anyway, so our agricultural technology program is a 2-year program designed for students that are going into the agricultural industry. So the property gives us the opportunity to get those students some hands-on experience with agronomy. So growing any type of agronomic crop. So we've done corn some years, we've done vegetables, and so that gives them the opportunity. We've got the equipment that they need. We just, the land gives us an opportunity to have a site to do that. So it's basically, you can think of it as an outdoor lab. It gives them the opportunity to do some hands-on experience with agricultural production.
I don't think we would care, but do you ever see a need where you might expand over the small portion that you're using for that?
There could be a day when that occurred, so, you know, but right now the 4 acres typically is plenty for us. So we would, but if that opportunity ever arose, we certainly would come back to you guys, and that might be an option. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or
Just,
comments?
what do you do if you're raising the vegetables? Just give them to the homeless shelters or something?
Well, one year they did. They actually just basically gave them to homeless shelters. They did try a project where they did a CSA so people could purchase to kind of offset some of the costs. And so then one year we just grew corn on it. And so, so it just depends on what we're trying to teach at the time.
I think it's not only teaching them of the product growing to produce, it also teaches them to give.
Yes, it does. And with the vegetables, it teaches also, that's a value added, that's very popular. I mean, that's becoming more and more mainstream in agriculture. And so, understanding that entrepreneurial spirit of that and learning those skills is valuable as well. So, yeah, the intention is we're not there to make money, but we are there to help them learn the processes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question or comment? Okay, thank you, Dr.
Thank
Williams.
you all. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, Jenny.
G, lease agreement with Commonwealth Attorney's Office for office space.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Jordan, I know I picked the right person this time.
Yes, Judge. Our lease with the state to provide office space for the Commonwealth Attorney is set to expire November 13th of this year. However, the Division of Real Properties requested to update this lease now so that it pivots on the fiscal year. The state has accepted our proposed rate of $12.30 per square foot for 4,057 square feet of office space in the Kirtley Annex. This lease is for one-year increments and can be extended until June 30th of 2030. Legal and myself have reviewed it. It is in order, and we would recommend approval.
Questions or comments? Only question I have, Jordan, is why would the state pay us $12.50 or $12.30 and AOC would only pay us $1.80? Never mind, you don't have to answer. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next
H,
item.
lease agreement with Commonwealth Attorney's Office for records storage.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second, and Jordan, I want to ask you another question.
For the past year or so, Commonwealth Attorney has been storing court files in the basement of the courthouse. He utilizes a small locked area in the old archives section and would like to continue using this space. Division of Real Properties has accepted our proposed rate of $6 per square foot for the 192 square feet of record storage that we are offering him. This lease is for one-year increments and can be extended again until June 30th of 2030. Legal and myself have reviewed it. It is in order. I would recommend approval.
Question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
I, award the following bids. Number 2223-01, one new landfill compactor. Number 2223-02, three new walking floor trailers.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Jordan, let's go through each one, stopping, allowing us to comment or question.
Yes, sir. Beginning with 222301, this bid is for the provision of one new landfill compactor for the West Davis County landfill. We received 5 bids ranging from $1,052,747 to $1,359,980 and recommend award to the best evaluated bid submitted by CNC Manufacturing for the 2022 Aljon ADV 600 unit in the amount of $1,205,567. This total bid price exercises all 3 bid options, which included a pass mapping guidance system, a fire suppression system, and our standard 5-year, 10,000-hour powertrain warranty package. You will note that there were 2 bids that came in lower than our recommendation. The lowest bid received had exceptions outside of what we deem acceptable and was in fact a lower class machine than what was specified. And the next lowest bid is a unit that we have ran in the past, and due to its design and slow speed, we found that it performs poorly in our municipal solid waste application. Landfill management and maintenance both recommend the Aljon unit, as in terms of functionality and fuel efficiency, it offers the greatest value to the court. This is a budgeted replacement. There were no exceptions. I would recommend approval.
Questions or comments by the commission? Anyone in the audience? Next one, Jordan.
222302, this bid is for the provision of 3 new walking floor trailers for the Grimes Avenue Transfer Station. We recommend the only bid received, submitted by Vomac Truck Sales and Service Incorporated, for the 3 2023 East Unloader units, exercising all bid trade-in options for the total net bid price of $301,261. The unit pricing for these trailers has increased steeply from the last time that we purchased them. However, the increase is comparable to what we've seen over the last year and a half across various pieces of equipment and vehicles, and additionally, due to the limited availability, our trade-in consideration is more than double what it has been in the past, which mitigates this increase somewhat. These are budgeted replacements. There were no exceptions, and I would recommend approval.
Questions or comments?
I noticed the.
Yes, sir.
My apologies. I noticed the delivery date is almost 8 months out. Is that normal, or is that longer, further out than due to COVID?
A good bit further out than it typically is.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience? Commissioners, you've heard the recommendations of staff regarding bid number 2223-01, 1 new landfill compactor, and 2223-02, 3 new walking floor trailers. If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
J, terminate bid contract 38-2021, engine oils and lubricants.
Motion approved.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second?
I have a second. Mr., whatever your name is, Johnson.
Yes, Judge. Key Oil Company holds the calendar year 2022 contract for engine oils and lubricants, and they have submitted notice that they can no longer supply product under this contract pricing, given the fact they've incurred several unforeseen price increases already this year. They proposed a change order that was simply too high for us to reasonably consider locking in for the remainder of the year, so we recommend terminating the bid contract per section 3.22, contract termination, subsection 3, default, subsection C, which is simply termination by non-compliance by the vendor and holds no penalties. We can finish the remainder of the year quoting engine oil and lubricant orders as needed based on price and availability, much like we do other goods and services. No departments see any issues operating this way. I would recommend termination.
Questions? Comments? So what we're going to do is just buy market price. Okay. Anyone from the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Jenny.
2, consideration for discussion, A, Yellow Creek Park major projects.
Commissioners, I ask that this be placed on the agenda so that we could look at doing some fairly major projects out at Yellow Creek. One of them would be a renovation or a reworking of the baseball diamonds. Commissioner Wathen and I and the parks have talked about this for, gosh, George, a lot of years.
Yep.
And we think that perhaps it's time for us to at least start the process. That project will not be done during our time, our tenure. There's just not enough time to get it all done. But what we're trying to do is get the ball rolling so the next fiscal court will have the information they need and be able to we may be able to get some bids, we may be able to get some specs together, and then they'll just have to make a decision on whether or not they want to go ahead and move forward. The next item is an item that we visited in 2014 when Commissioner Jim Lambert and I were here. I can't remember who all went. We may have all gone over to Ohio County and Beaver Dam to look at the stage that they have, the outdoor stage that they have over there. We looked at it. We even have, and Jordan, I'm going to put this up. A conceptual drawing of what that stage could look like. Now, this is a conceptual drawing, so please do not think this is the final product. It may not even be the beginning of a product, but this is what was brought to us in 2014 by our architects. I was talking to Keith earlier, and we even had a public meeting where we took comments from the public, and they were telling us the different things that they thought needed to be done with the stage. I don't know about you commissioners, but I continually hear comments from people here in Owensboro and Daviess County. Why does Beaver Dam have an outdoor stage, and why don't we have an outdoor stage? We have a lot of venues in this community, but the one venue we don't have is an outdoor stage where you can hold concerts, where you can hold plays. There are a lot of things that you can do with it. I know that I've heard some people talk, well, if we put an outdoor stage, we will be competing with. Well, tell me who we're going to compete with. Where else is there an outdoor venue that we would be competing with? Certainly, it might compete with the Sports Center. It could compete with River Park or the Bluegrass Museum or the Convention Center, but we're all in competition. I think what we're trying to do is to give our citizens the best experience in this community that they can have. And they continue to talk about having to go to Beaver Dam to a concert, and it's a fine stage Beaver Dam has. Judy and I went to a Beach Boys concert over there last year, and I spent the whole evening shaking hands with people from Daviess County. That's who was attending. So we have the people here to support a concert in the surrounding area, and I just think it's time that we need to look at it again. I think that we have the money. Last time, money was kind of a consideration. It always is consideration. Same thing with the ball fields. But I think that we have the money that we could move forward with it and do it without having to borrow or bond anything. So with that, I'm open to questions or comments, or let me know your feelings. Because in the end, what I would like to do is to have your permission to move forward with getting our engineers back involved, putting some things together on paper so that we can go back and forth and bring it back to you.
If we can we talk about the baseball diamonds first?
Yes, go ahead.
The idea in our last discussions we had was out at trying to put, I'm gonna call it a cloverleaf style 4 baseball diamonds out at Yellow Creek. And I think, if I can ask our engineer, is there someone drawn up some kind of a plan, or we were looking at redoing that whole area out there. Is there something being
I believe
done?
somebody on their own time drew up a conceptual plan in regards to how to fill the space at Thrusteton. It
So-
didn't involve the barn
So
or
we haven't
Yellow
moved.
Creek.
There's nothing being done right now?
Commissioner, there is a conceptual plan that was drawn, and I think that plan came about, Jim, how long? Well, Jim Lambert was still here, so it must have been 2014, and we were talking about buying property that was adjacent, and we could move.
No, the plan that I saw was
Okay.
on the Thrusteton School.
On that,
But we had talked recently about maybe going in there where all the diamonds are, where they are now, and reconfiguring all that into a cloverleaf, right up in the middle of the park, where the diamonds are now.
I think that's where we need to get someone to come in and look at it. We can get the data, LiDAR or whatever it is, GPS data, so that we can superimpose those measurements on it and kind of play with it. If you recall, I think we've also talked, or I've talked, and I think I've shared it with some of you folks. I think this would be the perfect time to also take the maintenance buildings that are located at the front of the park, which is ugly. It's the first thing people see when they drive in. and reposition those on the Reed Road side, on the other side of Yellow Creek past Lambert's Pioneer Village. So we can move that back, and then that frees up the old Thurston School property, the shed property, and the ball diamonds. It really gives us a huge piece of property to rework and reconfigure for ball diamonds.
That's what I'd like to see done, is a drawing or proposal to redo all of that. I mean, to utilize that space as efficiently as possible. Part of it, like we said, like you just said, and we talked about, it probably involves moving the maintenance shop and the, what do you call it, where they keep the eagles and
The aviary, or is that what they call it?
Raptor?
The Raptor Center.
We might have to move that too. But anyway, I'd like to see us at least move, the next step would be to figure out the best way to utilize that space with the concept of cloverleaf for baseball diamonds.
And when you say cloverleaf, you're talking about all the home plates backing up to a central concession area, store, facility.
Right,
Yeah.
similar to what we have at
Panther
And
Creek,
Fisher.
Fisher Park. Okay.
And I would support moving forward on that as well. And I know we've had those discussions years ago, so.
Well, we had them, we started talking again 2 years ago.
Right.
And we've talked quite a bit about the
Right.
possibility.
If you would, then what I would do on that is get together with Mark and Ross, and Mark, you can find us a consultant. Ross might find those conceptual plans that we have. We'll try to get together and at the next meeting have some kind of a cost estimate on what it would take to take that next step.
And I think, I agree with these commissioners that we need a facility out there for these kids on that end of the town. And I think it'd be well used and it'd look very nice, whereas right now it's a little bit of an eyesore with the land sitting out there where the old school and all was. And at one time, they had some diamonds out there that the kids played on, and it just, just
The diamonds became kind of, we had problems with lights, problems with backstops, problems with poles, and we decided to take the night portion away and make it day diamonds. And, we'll just look at it and see. And we can look at it from the standpoint of various phases, what it would cost for each phase, and ask the engineer to do that.
And it's like you said, that area, those diamonds out there are really utilized by the local citizens. And that's why I think we need to really, because oftentimes out here, Panther, that's tied up for tournaments and things like that. And if that's why I'd like to see us do something out here at Yellow Creek, because it's really utilized by our local teams and local clubs and different things, so.
And one of the other things, Commissioner, we're working or negotiating with the Pickleball Association to add more pickleball courts. It will give us a little more room there, and perhaps we'll have more parking that they could use, so if it's, yes, who hollered?
And the pickleball needs to be taken into consideration,
Right,
the potential.
yes. All right, what I'll do is I'll get together with Ross and Mark, and we'll start on that. The next one, let's talk about the stage. Again, I think it is time for us to bring that facility to the forefront. Not to mention that it will be and can be used. And I think we need to partner very closely with the Bluegrass Museum, because they have to rent a stage every year, bring it in from Nashville and set it up. So I think that we need to revisit with the engineers that originally put this conceptual drawing together, ask them to update it and bring us some ideas and an idea of what the new cost might be. And then we can decide whether to go forward or not. As I said, this court, as it's made up today, we will probably be gone. The only one that'll be here potentially would be Commissioner Castleton. but we will have at least laid that groundwork so that we could get moving.
I think, if I remember correctly, one of the things that caused us problems before when we were looking at this is when we had those public meetings, everybody wanted to add something.
Right.
You know, we were adding bathrooms and we were adding kitchens and, it just went on and it got so convoluted that we just kind of got mired down in the whole thing and it got so expensive. So I think it's important in my view, to keep it simple. I mean, for example, now, when they have romp, they bring in a stage, but they bring in bathrooms, and they bring in anything else they need. And I think if we did a stage, we keep it simple and let them continue to, when they have the
Big
romp,
events.
let them still bring in their bathrooms and their extra trailers or whatever else they need to bring for that event.
Well, certainly, I don't think that we had talked, and you know, I think you're right, the previous director of the Bluegrass Museum had wanted to have gold-plated fixtures in bathrooms and dressing rooms with stars on the door.
Yeah, it's dressing rooms.
And those kinds of things. I'm not sure that's where we want to go, but at the same time, we're going to do a first-class stage, and we're going to attract first-class acts. We've just got to look at it and see what our budget would allow us to do. My concern, one of the biggest costs is sound equipment. But I think for the most part, most of these acts bring their own sound equipment in. So.
Well, see, that's what I mean, keep it simple, let them bring.
Right. So again, I would ask that you guys allow me to do the same thing to get together with Ross and Mark. I did, by the way, contact the chair of the Parks Board, Louis Jean, had a conversation with him. He's somewhere between, at that time, he was somewhere between Pennsylvania and Maine. He said he was going up to see what a lobster looked like. I said, well, get down real close and see. And, you know, I think also, when we talked about, there was a little bit of pushback by the Parks Board last time around. Louis says he doesn't think there would be any pushback. So I think they are, you know, we've said oftentimes that we think Yellow Creek is a jewel. It's the crown jewel of our park system. Mm-hmm. And so, to recap, we're going to get some preliminary, we're going to find out on the ball diamonds. We're going to find out who we can get to come in and do some conceptual drawings, find out a cost. We'll bring it back at the next meeting for approval. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll contact the architect that did this original drawing, because they got all that information, I'm sure, on CAD to begin with, and we'll see what it might cost for them to spend some time refining it and incorporating some of the things that were suggested.
I don't want to drag this out too long, but I think maybe with the stage, one of the important things we can do is look at it as simple as possible, but take into consideration if you wanted to add, you know, make it where it would be easy for them to add things on.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
You know, if later they want to add bathrooms, or but anyway, they could add those on, so.
The other thing I might ask, one of the things I know that we're going to end up having to do, the kind of the natural amphitheater out there is going to need to be some dozer work. David, I suspect we're going to have a phase 1 archaeological survey, because growing up on that farm, I used to hunt arrowheads out there. So we may, you know, that's probably one of the first things that, along with getting the architect, is we find out who can come in and do that phase 1 for us.
What location would the theater be?
I mean, just looking at it, it would be pretty much where Romp has her stage, except I would rotate it a little bit to clockwise to get it along that tree line, because that more aligns. But with a dozer, you can do a lot of things in creating an amphitheater.
And you talked about the bathrooms. We will have to have some, just for smaller crowds, but if you're bringing a bigger group in, let them bring the extra.
Yeah.
Porta potties.
Porta potties. That's right. Yeah, when you have the potty, you don't care whether it's poured up or if it's permanent. Any other comments on these two projects? Okay, we don't need to vote on it, the consensus is that we move forward. Jenny, next item.
B, other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court. I'm not aware of any.
Neither am I.
C, public comments.
This is time during our meeting in which we invite the public to approach the podium, identify themselves, and they're welcome to talk on any item other than what was on the agenda. Nobody, Smokey, are you awake? Okay. Nobody has anything to say then. Next item.
D, second quarter employee anniversaries.
Commissioners, we are celebrating Colton Lanham's 5 years working for us in Public Works as a heavy equipment operator. Casey Owens, 5 years, building and grounds tech. Bob Root, 20 years, landfill site supervisor. And Brian Lanham, 30 years as a transfer station supervisor. Congratulations to all of these fine folks. All the citizens of Daviess County appreciate your hard work and your dedication. Next item.
E, comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Koger.
I'd like to make a compliment to Jerry back here, who takes care of our lawn and our flowers and all. Very seldom do you ever, that you're thanked enough, I feel like, and you do such a great job. A lot of mornings you're out here very early, but I just wanted to thank you for your time and efforts.
He was out there at 4:30 this morning mowing the grass, Mike, as I was pulling into the parking lot to come to work.
Oh, I believe it. And you can tell by
What,
looking.
that I came in at 4:30 or that he was
No,
out
that
there?
he was. I'm not going to go that far.
believe either one of them.
Anything else, Mike?
That's all. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, Commissioner Wathen,
Pass.
Commissioner Caslen.
Nice.
Couple things, no, actually three, so don't let me forget, David, if I don't get to it. Dust Bowl is going on. I would invite all of you to get down there. Late at night is better than the early evening, I guess, but come on down early evening, and they've got good food, a lot of great basketball. Some of my friends on Facebook say it's the best basketball in Kentucky, and I absolutely believe that to be the case. I know I'm going down after this meeting. I was planning on playing a little half-court game with them, but my knee and hip is acting up, so.
I was there to give them the read and deliver the proclamation
Yes.
last night, and I watched part of a couple games.
Pretty cool,
and,
isn't it?
And it was fun to watch.
And I'm gonna tell you, the kids, the little kids.
Yes.
That are playing, I don't think you can keep up with them.
They were going at it.
They
but,
were. So come on down for, and it goes on through Sunday?
you don't need your jacket when you
No,
go.
I will not have my jacket or my tie. Goes on through Sunday,
I think Saturday.
Saturday night, isn't it?
Saturday night at the end of it. So, question came up about cooling centers during this heat, and I called EMA. And the way that they and the homeless shelters look at this, you know, we have heating. When the temperature gets low, we have places for people to go sleep, get a meal, and stay warm. And that's because most everything else is closed. But they don't and have not been opening up cooling shelters because things are open during the day. A lot of the homeless shelters stay open during the day. There are other places that folks can go to the mall or ride a bus or whatever and get cooled off. So folks, that's why we don't have cooling shelters in Owensboro. Don't know that will continue. It could be as the heat that Keith and I haven't seen since we were young boys. You saw it 1936, one of the hottest summers we had, Keith, remember? That's what I thought. But anyway, we are constantly monitoring the needs of the homeless and those folks. And if somebody is in distress and because of the heat, don't hesitate to call EMA, call here at Fiscal Court, call City Hall, and we'll try to help you out. Last, Commissioners, the one thing that, and I was going to bring it up under the Yellow Creek, but it doesn't have a thing to do with Yellow Creek. I would like to, as you're aware, House Bill 202 was passed back 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, and it allowed us to distribute excess tourist tax money. You're smiling, David. How long ago was it passed? 7 years ago. Man, not as long as Keith experienced that hot summer. It allowed us to distribute excess tourist tax that we would collect. Jim can give you the House Bill 202. It requires that we maintain 2 years of debt service. So we have 2 years of debt service. We now have a fair amount of money in the House Bill 202 fund, and all of that money has to be spent on downtown arts agencies. So David, 9th Street to going west, about 4 blocks west and about 4 blocks east that way. In the past, we would take applications for capital projects from folks. In the past, we would require a match. This year, I would recommend that we send out a letter to, there are actually 6 agencies, the River Park Center, Theater Workshop, Museum of Fine Arts, Museum of Science and History, Owensboro Symphony, and the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum. They would be the ones that would qualify. And that we send them a letter and ask that they send us their request for projects, funding for projects that they need done, capital projects. If they were going to put up some of the money, the cost of the project, that request would be looked on more favorably than somebody who just asked for a flat out 100% of the project. Also, projects that take into account the Owensboro Destination Assessment Report, and you probably don't remember when we had the Veneto Corp in here, and they went around and visited all these folks and told them what they thought they needed to be doing to better serve not only the people in the community, but tourists. Those would be viewed more favorably if they are responding to some of that. So the letters would go out here sometime in August, and we would send out our award letters sometimes mid to late October, and probably the last meeting in October, we just have some kind of function here where we would make the award. Yes, sir.
Should we put a cap on that, or should we let the process take care of
I
that?
think the process is going to take care of that cap. Now, when you say, should we put a cap on the total amount of money that we're going to award
I meant per,
person? You know,
well, you gotta do both,
Yeah.
total and the per.
And we will look at it, because that's a calculation I'm going to have to get the treasurer with me and you guys, and look at what we have in there and what we want to distribute. I'm thinking that it should be a fairly substantial sum, since we haven't done it for 2 years. So during COVID, we made no awards. So as far as, we'll look at what we have to distribute, and then that will be the basis of how we would do it. If you recall, in the past, we've had some that were, as an example, you might have one organization awarded $150,000 and another organization awarded $25,000. So it's just, we'll have to get those requests in and vet them. Do I have a consensus to move forward and do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, I have nothing else to add, so if there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court, without exception, we're adjourned.